Introduction. Now I move to my lecture, which is planned as a topic says, that is remote sensing and GIS applications in agriculture and soils. If you see Indian agriculture, we know that remote sensing data are being used in agriculture from very beginning. The applications started long back in 1970s, or you can say that if we see the first remote sensing satellite was launched by US as a in 1972, and India launched its first remote sensing satellite in March 1988. And since then, we are using remote sensing data in various areas of agriculture. But if I brief you how the importance of Indian agriculture is there in our country's development. You see, agriculture is very prime importance because it provides us food. And you know, today our food grain production is 316 metric ton, and it provides the food grain availability of 185 kilogram per capita. So it is Indian agriculture has made us a self-reliant country. If you see, our total land area of our country is 328 million hectare, and out of that 141 million hectare is under agriculture, where we show the agriculture net area. And out of 141 million hectare, 66% is rain-fed, or you can say the agriculture depends on monsoon. If we take both the season, as agriculture or crops are grown in Rabi season and Kharif season. Rabi season you can say the winter season, and Kharif season you can say as a summer season. If we include both the season crop area, then total gross crop area is 193 million hectare. If we see, that is Indian geographical statistic, we have 2.3% of total land of the Earth's surface, and we are having 4.2% of fresh water, total available water on the Earth, and 1% of forest area, and 0.5% of partial land. So if you see the resources, soil resources are limited, water is limited, and these limited resources we have to manage scientifically so that we can improve its productivity, we can continuously improve our agriculture production, keeping in mind that agriculture should not, our land should not deteriorate or it should not degrade. That's why there is a lot of challenge of Indian agriculture, and which we can address with the help of remote sensing and GIS. If we see that in the remote sensing and GIS, together we call it as a geospatial technology. And this geospatial technology used for agriculture resource management. When I talk about agriculture resources, then there is two broad topics are there, or broad area. One we call crop resource management, and another is soil resource management. So on the soil, your crops are grown, so we have to manage both to optimize the agriculture production. If we see in the crop resource management, the various topics which is being dealt using remote sensing techniques are crop acreage estimation, crop yield prediction, or you can say crop yield forecasting, crop water requirement, crop damage assessment, and damage may be because of insect, pest, or any other things. Drought monitoring, agriculture drought monitoring, agriculture information system. So these are the topics covered under the crop resource management. When I come to the soil resource management, major topics are soil resource mapping, to know the kind of soil and properties of soil so that we can use properly them. Soil resource assessment means potential suitability of soil for various uses. Third applications, we can say degraded land mapping, soil nutrients mapping, land use planning, watershed management. So these are the broad topics which I will just give you some glimpses, applications being used for in the field of agriculture. And more in details, you will listen in the coming lectures which will be dealt in this week. So just introducing you the remote sensing. What do you understand by remote sensing? Means getting information of any object without in direct physical contact is called remote sensing. But here I have shown two examples. One is your eyes are the best example of remote sensing, where you see any object and you get the information about that. But our eyes have the limitation. We can see only in visible wavelength region, which you can define wavelength region between 0.4 to 0.7 micrometer. Another second simplistic example is your camera. This is your camera in everybody's hand, your mobile camera. You are also getting information, and this camera may work in visible wavelength, and sometimes some cameras also work in thermal wavelength or beyond that, infrared wavelength region. If these cameras are placed on aircraft, then we call aerial remote sensing. When these camera or these lenses are placed, or when we are obtaining the information from space, when these cameras are mounted on the spacecraft, then it is called remote sensing satellite. So remote sensing, if you see our satellites, remote sensing satellites are orbiting at the height of nearly 700 to 800 kilometers above the Earth's surface. There are two types of satellites are there which India launches. One is geostationary satellite, which is placed at 36,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface, but that satellite is mainly used for telecommunication and weather forecast. However, remote sensing satellites are placed at 700 to 800 kilometers above the Earth's surface, quite below the geostationary satellite, and it takes the pictures from there. It provides the pictures, or it provides the data from that heights, that is known as a remote sensing satellites. The major advantage of remote sensing satellite, that we are able to understand the various processes of the Earth's surface. What is happening on the Earth's surface every day, every week, every month, or every hourly, that we can get to know through remote sensing satellite data. It provides us the real-time information. Means this is the technology where we are getting very real-time information, means updated information about the Earth's surface what kind of crop is there, what kind of soil is there, what degradation is taking place. Every real-time informations we can collect using remote sensing data. And third major advantage of remote sensing is you are getting a reliable information of natural resources. So the information is unbiased. It is not distorted, a very reliable information, because if you are getting reliable informations, then you can make a very good management plan of utilizing it on its best way. If we see, when we talk the remote sensing, then we talk about the remote sensing technology, which is obtaining the data, reflectance data or emitted radiation, and we are using the electromagnetic radiation. You see the electromagnetic radiation, visual wavelength, it is shown here, 0.4 to 0.7 micrometer, which is shown as a blue, green, red, mainly this wavelength region. But we can see with the remote sensing satellite beyond this visual wavelength region also, which is the advantage. We can see near and mid infrared region, thermal infrared region, and microwave electromagnetic radiations. These three wavelength regions are also utilized in remote sensing, which our eyes cannot sense. And these are the specialized electromagnetic radiations where we are getting a lot of information about the natural resources. And here gamma rays, X-rays and ultraviolet, they are very much injurious and they are not used in the remote sensing, or they are used in another form of remote sensing. And TV and radio magnetic radiation or EMR is used for the telecommunication purposes. So how remote sensing satellite works? Here it is shown a very pictorial diagram. I am talking here about the optical remote sensing in more details, and that's why I am showing the process of optical remote sensing. In optical remote sensing, the radiation from the sun is a source of energy, and from the radiation, electromagnetic radiation is coming to the Earth's surface. When it comes, the part of the radiation is absorbed by the Earth object, and part of the energy is reflected back to the atmosphere or to the space. The reflected radiations we record using remote sensing satellite data, and from there these radiations are transmitted to the ground station. This is the ground station, Earth station in India. It is located in Hyderabad, Sadnagar, where the antenna receives the transmitted data from the satellite, and we process it and send to the National Data Center. And National Data Center send this satellite data to us or to the user. And in the computer, using image processing software, we analyze this data for various applications for preparing an agricultural land use plan or other information. So here just I brief you, the remote sensing satellites have various sensors, and as I told you, today I will talk mainly of the optical remote sensing satellite, and one day a lecture will be given on microwave remote sensing, and in one lectures my colleague will deal with the thermal remote sensing. So I am restricting towards today only of optical remote sensing. This wavelength region where I am talking about 0.4 to 3 micrometer, which we call visual and near infrared. Thermal remote sensing, as name says, that is, it is the emitted radiation, because Earth above the 0 degree temperature emit radiation, and this emitted radiation depends on the object nature of the object, and we can sense the temperature of the object. So mainly it is used for analyzing the thermal behavior of the object or its temperature. Microwave remote sensing is wavelength region ranges from 1 millimeter to 1 meter, and this is used mainly for studying the earth object in kharif season, or when there is a cloudy season or rainy season, when optical remote sensing or when sun is not visible, then in that case optical remote sensing could not work, and then we use microwave remote sensing satellites. Here you see the remote sensing for earth observation, and here you see that I have shown the different images, satellite images, and you see when in 1988 we launched the satellite data, at that time spatial resolution of the satellite was very coarse. It was around 80 meter, and today the spatial resolution has increased up to 1 meter of Indian remote sensing satellites. So you can say we launched the first satellite was IIRS 1A, Indian remote sensing satellite 1A, with a spatial resolution of 72 meter and LIS2 sensor as 36 meter. And gradually we improved the spatial resolution, and today we are getting a field level information about the Earth's surface. You can see the field boundary of our lands also. So much of a spatial resolution has increased. So I can say that from 72 meter to 1 meter in color, in multispectral, and in black and white we have reached to the spatial resolution of 25 centimeter. So one, spatial resolution has increased. Secondly, temporal resolution means after how many days we can get the satellite data again. So you can see that is, now we are able to obtain the satellite data of every week, fortnightly. So we have the plenty of satellite data availability to study the agriculture crops or Earth's surface. Just giving you one example, how remote sensing satellites, suppose it is the example of Indian remote sensing satellite resource set, which is launched at 817 kilometer above the Earth's surface, and one scene cover 141 kilometer by 141 kilometer. So large area it covers, and in these satellites there are 4 cameras are there, and these 4 cameras we have named as a B2, B3, B4, B5. B2 is green band camera, which is the wavelength region, sensitive in the wavelength region of this one. B3 is a red band camera, wavelength region is 0.6 to 0.68. B4 and B5 is infrared wavelength region camera. So you can say only in this wavelength region it records the reflectance, and you see the B4 and B5 is infrared wavelength region, and you know our eyes are sensitive for the primary color. We can see blue, green and red, 3 colors. That's why we, out of 4, we take B2, B3, B4, these 3 bands to make composite of images called is false color composite. So before, if I show you in the applications of remote sensing in agriculture, the first application is we need to map the crop area, crop type, and how much its acreage, how much area is there. If you see the field photographs, this is shown the wheat crop. This is mustard crop grown in Rabi season. This is paddy crop. This is potato crop and sugarcane crop. All these crops, different crops are grown in different season. So you are then if I want to prepare a Kharif crop inventory or Rabi crop inventory, then accordingly that time period I will select the satellite data. And you see these crops provide a very typical spectral characteristics. Reflectance characteristics of all these crops will be different. And that's why we are able to see, or we are able to identify these crops and map these crops using remote sensing data. Different stages, sometimes crops at one stage, 2 crops at one time appear same, but in different stages they appears different, or they give a different spectral characteristics. That is also helps us in mapping crop type. How it happens, just to show you the science of that, you see the sun radiation is falling on your field crop, for example paddy. What happens when radiation is coming to the surface of the crop, then this is shown the plant cell, and it is composed of mesophyll cells or different cellular structure. And what will happen? The radiation will reflect, and reflected radiation will depends on what is the composition of cell. Different cells, different plants have different composition. That's why reflectance will be different. Chlorophyll content, internal structure, lignin content, cellulose, water contents will be different for different crops. And that's why you will get the different reflectance. And that is the way different reflectance we are able to identify the crop. Even the crop, if it is under stress because of nutrient or water, then also the reflectance will change. But for the vegetation, a very significant reflectance has been seen, that red radiation or red wavelength region, band 3, radiation will be absorbed by plant for photosynthesis, but it reflects infrared. Red is absorbed by the plant, but it reflects infrared, and so this is a very contrasting difference. Red will be absorbed and infrared will be reflected, and this contrast help us to identify the vegetation type, vegetation and vegetation types. So for studying any vegetation, we depends on the spectral reflectance characteristics. We study that one. It is shown a typical spectral characteristics of a vegetation. You see here, this is the wavelength region, and here is the reflectance. Here you see B3 means red band. You see the red band radiation is absorbed by the vegetation for photosynthesis, because of chlorophyll content, the red radiation will be absorbed. So you are getting low reflectance. But infrared, which is known as the band 4 in Indian remote sensing satellite, you are getting highest reflectance. So it is reflecting, infrared get reflected, and you are getting high reflectance, and red band you are getting low reflectance. And if any object giving low in B3 and high in B4, it means you can say that object is vegetation. So for each object on the Earth's surface have a very distinct spectral reflectance characteristics, and that helps us to identify the crop type, crop species, and different crop growth stages as well. Here it is shown 1.4 and 1.9 micrometer, which is getting low reflectance, and it is because of the water absorption band. It is because of water. Here I show you the satellite data when we obtain in different wavelength region. I say that this is the satellite data of one area which is I have obtained in the green band. It means individual band image satellite data will appear black and white, where black means radiation has got absorbed, and white where appearing means maximum reflectance. Because of reflectance you are getting white. So this black color you are getting means here green band radiation got absorbed. Here you see the red band image. Here in red band you are getting here black or dark object, darker. Because of these darker showing, it means this is the object has absorbed the radiation, red radiation, but the same time infrared you see here it is giving white, means it has reflected. So it shows that is the object here may be vegetation. When I merge all three band data, green, red, infrared, then I can make a false color composite or satellite imagery. This is known as a standard FCC, where what I am doing, that infrared I will project in a red color, red band image is projected in red color and in green color, and green band image is projected in blue color. I told you our eyes can see only three primary color. So three band satellite data I projected in three primary color in blue, green and red, and it makes the false color composite. Here the vegetation giving high reflectance, which I have projected in red color, or infrared I projected in red color. That's why here in FCC all red color will show the vegetation, or you can say the vegetation will appears in red color. So where there you are getting the red color, you can say this is the vegetation or this is the crop. So where intensity of red color help us to identify the various crops. You know, various crops have different quantity of chlorophyll content or its height, and that's why your infrared reflectance will vary. Here I am showing you one image, satellite image. You see there is a red color. This red color is a sugarcane crop, which is in the field, it is appearing like this one. But sugarcane, if 1 year old ratoon crop, then you see the sugarcane ratoon is appearing like brownish red. And where there is no crop, crop has been harvested, then it is appearing like white stone, fallow land. Even the popular plantation, which is appearing like this one, or you can say the bright red with texture is not smooth or rough texture. So different vegetation, different crops, fallow, sugarcane ratoon, sugarcane plant, fresh sugarcane, popular, and all these can be very easily mapped with the remote sensing data on false color composite. So this is the easy to map the crop type. Another index we use for studying the vegetation, very commonly in the world or globally we are using normalized difference vegetation index. We call it is NDVI. NDVI can be calculated using red band image and near infrared band image. I shown you previous slide, that is red individual band, they appears in black and white. So if you make two image, you make a arithmetic equation NIR minus red divided by NIR plus red, then you are getting a value between 0 to 1. And this index are very much used in agriculture for studying the vegetation growth, vegetation condition, its chlorophyll activity, even the biophysical parameter of the plant. Here I show you infrared image of one satellite data. It is shown. You are getting here whitish, means it is the object giving highest reflectance in NIR. And the same object you are seeing here giving dark. It means it is absorbed by this object. So in red band it has been absorbed, but in infrared it has been reflected. So certainly this is a characteristics of vegetation. When I prepare the FCC, in FCC this appears as a red color, vegetation. But when I make the NDVI, then it appears more variation in vegetations I can pick up with the help of NDVI. So NDVI is a very useful parameter or index prepared using remote sensing data. It is used to measure green biomass. It is used to estimate the changes in vegetation state. NDVI vary also with leaf area index. So we can calculate leaf area index. We can calculate the vegetation canopy. Even it used to study or measure the photosynthetically active radiation which is absorbed by the canopy. So NDVI found very useful in studying the various vegetation parameter, and its applications I will show you in coming slides. So I want in agriculture, first important task is to prepare the crop inventory. And for preparing the crop inventory, select the suitable period of satellite data. If I want to prepare the crop inventory of Rabi season, then it is November to May in northern India. So you can map these crops. In Kharif season, paddy, maize and cottons are grown. In this season, you can select the satellite data. And for sugarcane crop, you can, which is annual crop and which is Rabi and Kharif, both season it is growing, you can pick up the satellite data from November to October any month. These satellite data are available at 5 days interval also, or fortnightly interval also. So that data can be utilized for mapping crops. Here it is shown one example. This is the Saharanpur district. One district area is taken, and by digital image processing, we have prepared the land crop inventory map wheat crop, sugarcane, orchard, fallow, forest, plantation forest, all these type of different land uses we can map using remote sensing data. Yellow color is showing the wheat crop and red color is showing the sugarcane crop. So its variability, spatial distribution we can map and area can be estimated. Another challenge is there, or another application is there. We want to map the yield, crop yield. So we do the crop yield modeling, and how we can estimate the crop yield, because it is indirect method, not a direct method. How we do that is uh, we we know that the crop yield depends on the leaf area index. It depends on the climatic conditions. So what we do in the field, first we sell at the some locations, some sites, we do the crop cutting experiment. This is the crop cutting experiment. And by cutting the crops of an area, suppose 5 meter by 5 meter, then we calculate the total biomass, how much biomass is there. So first we do the estimate the biomass of selected sites. Then we estimate NDVI from remote sensing data of the same place. So NDVI we can calculate. And we make the relationship between biomass and NDVI. And so we can calculate using NDVI the biomass of the area. And once you calculate the biomass, then from biomass we can estimate the yield. And you can say the biomass into harvest index HI, it gives you the yield. So there is a remote sensing data. What we do, previous year we have established the various relationship between biomass and NDVI, or yield and biomass, or you can say the NDVI and yield relationship we have in priori information. And the next year when we calculate the NDVI, and we can back calculate the yield of the crop. Here you can see that this is the one equation has been shown, NDVI and yield. The relationship has been plotted. And this is the relationship, yield is equal to this plus this into NDVI of 8th March. So if you know the NDVI, then by these equations we can calculate the yield. So for different region, different agroclimatic region, we establish or we have developed the relationship, yield relationship with NDVI, and using that we can estimate the crop yield. How we are doing, you see this is the crop cutting experiment sites where we did the crop cuttings, and the same points, this is the NDVI map, and we can make a relationship between NDVI and crop cutting experiment. From there we can get the biomass and yield, and we can calculate the crop yield. Now, remote sensing data can be used for drought assessment, which we call it is crop condition assessment. Drought assessment and monitoring. You know that because in the Kharif season or in summer season, because of scanty rainfall or less rainfall, our crop does not get, where there is a non rain-fed areas, or which is the area which is not irrigated. In that area water deficiency is there, and because of that crop get dried or get the drought condition because of moisture deficiency. What happens? There will be poor growth, and there will be high evaporation rate. So high evaporation rate is there and moisture is not there. So the temperature of the plant will increase, and the temperature of the plant will increase, that we can measure with the help of thermal remote sensing data. So using thermal remote sensing data, we can measure the temperature of the crop, and we can also estimate the moisture of the moisture in the soil. Then crop growth conditions we can estimate using NDVI. So using all these parameters, we can assess the drought condition. What we do, we study the crop stress conditions using spectral indices, where we are calling it we use normalized difference vegetation index NDVI, vegetation condition index VCI, temperature condition index TCI. And you see the formula is given here how to calculate this one. So using this index and the soil moisture content and the rainfall conditions of the area, we calculate the drought conditions. So in general, Government of India prepared the agriculture drought assessment report of every year, and where we are using different spectral indices and different satellite data. Not only one satellite data. Here you see that is we get the NDVI, we estimate the soil moisture, we estimate from MODIS data, normalized difference wetness index. We use this resource set AVIF satellite data, NDVI, and using this information, we assess the drought condition. And this drought conditions, Indian government preparing since 1989. This is the operational program, and 13 states are estimated every year in the rainy season or in the Kharif season. Another application is your crop disease monitoring and precision crop protection. We use remote sensing data for crop disease assessment. How we can do with the remote sensing data? You see, this is the crop get yellow rust. Here wheat crop, you see that is the leaf rust disease. And disease means chlorophyll content is reduced and the plant structures, plant cells also get damaged or has been not remain the normal. So what happens? If you see the spectral reflectance characteristics, healthy plants give high reflectance in near infrared, but stressed plant give low reflectance. So you can see the NIR and red band, the reflectance behavior changed, and because of that one, if you generate the NDVI image, you can very easily can detect which are the area which are the crops are get infected because of disease or because of pest. We cannot identify which type of disease is there, but we can identify that the area which crop get infected from the disease or insect, and how its growth away from the normal crop. We are using remote sensing data for horticulture crop inventory and site suitability as well. You see that after crop, there is a large area in India under various horticulture crop like fruit crops, banana, mango, citrus, and some vegetables also, potato, onion, tomato, and chilies. So these crops also government is trying to find out how much area is there and which are the best suitable sites for its cultivation. For that one also, we are using remote sensing data for mapping of horticulture crops. You see here mango orchard in the remote sensing satellite data, how they are appearing. Orchard, you can see this is dot, 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 like that one filled. These are the, you are seeing that is the uh, trees, orchard trees are planted like that one. These are the young orchard and these are the old orchard, mango. You can see here the old rubber crop appearing like this one and young rubber crop appearing this one. So area under old and young can also be mapped using remote sensing data. Another remote sensing satellites I told you, that is when we are not able to get the, in the Kharif season, we are not able to get the optical remote sensing satellites. So in that Kharif season, because of cloudy weather or there is a rain throughout the day, through satellite pass, we cannot get the reflectance. So we are using microwave remote sensing satellites in the Kharif seasons primarily, because the microwave remote sensing satellites having all weather capability can be primarily used for the Kharif crop inventory and also useful for high biomass crop mapping like sugarcane, maize, bajra. India launched its first microwave remote sensing satellites in 2012, and now recently we launched in 2022, 14th February 2022, Reset 1A satellite, which is operational and being used for the mapping of Kharif crops or in Kharif seasons by and large. You see, actually we are very much interested to know the how much area under paddy crop. You know, paddy is the first highest food grain crop in the country, and we want to know how much area under rice crop is there and what is the area under different sowing condition, means late sown, early sown, transplanted, those rice area we want to know for estimating its yield for computation for our planning purpose. So what we have done here, it is satellite data, it is shown 3 dates of satellite data was taken of 5th July, 29th and August, 29th July and 22 August. And when we make the FCC, then we can see the different transplanted rice conditions very easily, and that we are using for rice crop monitoring using remote sensing data. Now I want to tell you that seeing the operational use of remote sensing in agriculture, Government of India in April 2012 established the National Crop Forecast Center. It is known as a Mahalanovis National Crop Forecast Center, MNCFC, which is located in New Delhi. And Government of India is doing the regular operational program to get the information about the agriculture crop. One is that we are doing Fasal project, means forecasting agriculture output using space, agrometeorology and land-based observations. At present, Government of Ministry is making inventory of 11 major crops and its acreage and yield estimation. We are doing 17 states, or this center is doing agriculture drought assessment and monitoring of 17 states of India, and regularly monitoring the drought situation. Horticulture project, major name of the project is Chaman, which is horticulture assessment using management using geoinformatics. Recently, new project has been started, Suflam project from 2018 to 2021, to develop the technology for developing methodology for 10 more crops, because here we are doing 21 crops and we want to estimate the acreage and yield of other minor crop also. So this SUFLAM project was conducted. So I can say that this agriculture information being generated at national level under various projects by national crop forecast centers, and it is future in also they are developing for various other crops as well. Now, dear friends, I will with this application of broad application of agriculture, now I will go for the remote sensing application in soils also, which I will show you some applications. I can take a few seconds gap, stop, or if I will take your questions at the end if you post on the chat box. So just some applications on soils you may be interested. As we know that the remote sensing data are very much being used for the mapping of soils, mapping of degraded lands, watershed planning, land use planning for these applications. Soil is a very important resource and it provides us various ecosystem services. It provides fresh water, so you can say for water purification. It do the climate regulation. It is responsible for nutrient cycling. It is used for the provision for construction material. It provides food and fiber. And it is today, it has been also being much emphasized. It is being used for the carbon sequestration. Lot of carbon are stored in soil. So if this carbon is released to the atmosphere, then it will be a problem for climate change. So soil is also a climate regulatory services it provides. So first I will go for the soil resource mapping, how we can map soil. I told you earlier that crop can be seen directly from the remote sensing data, as we are seeing the reflectance characteristics of the vegetation. But in case of soil, direct information about the soil is not, we are not able to get, because you know the lot of area is under, suppose this is under the forest, and this forest area, red color is being shown as a forest. Underneath the soil, we don't know because the reflectance of vegetations I am getting. So we go for the indirect interpretation, and what we do, that is we study the soil forming factors. Because soil is formed by the various factors, which is climate, organism, relief, plant material, and time. And these factors governs the variability of the soils. You see in this picture, this is the forest. Underneath the what kind of soil, and after that there is a rock. Here, if you see in the surface soil, but underneath these are stones. Here you can see the soil altogether, depth is there, quite good depth. So these cannot be studied directly from the reflectance. So in soil we study first geomorphology, then we study the topography, then we study land use, land cover, 3 parameters, and then we map these 3 parameters, and integrate these informations to find the homogeneous land area, and in that homogeneous land area we study the soil profile. So how we get the information from the remote sensing data? You see the satellite data. We can see the topography also. Here the slope is different, here slope is different. Within the hills also you can say the slope here very steep, here is steep. We can see the geomorphology, hills and foothills. We can see the topography. We can see the land use, forest and cropland. So all these three information, which is very important for studying soils, we can map from the remote sensing data. So what we do, we go for the visual interpretation of remote sensing data. So we first prepare the geomorphology map. Then we further divide the geomorphology map based on the topography or slope. And the further we divide based on the land use, land cover. So actually we prepare the individual layers of geomorphology, then geomorphology and topography, then geomorphology, topography or slope and land use, land cover. So what you get the delineation or you get the area, this area we can say in this area soil is same. Anywhere we can take the soil samples and we can characterize the soils. So it is a very little not direct informations, but indirectly we get the area of homogeneous land, and there we study the soil through soil profile. But we can map directly degraded lands. So degraded lands you can map directly, and you know when we are using soil for agriculture purpose, our land is also getting degraded. And you will be surprised to know that in India there are 120 million hectares land is degraded. 120 million hectare, where maximum erosion, maximum degradation is being caused by water erosion. Second degradation is because of wind erosion. Third degradation is because of chemical, because lot of salts are getting accumulated in the soil because of irrigation. And third degradation is physical degradation. Fourth, and you can see our agricultural land, total agricultural land, I told you 141 million hectare, and you see 104 million hectare is affected by degradation. And maximum degradation is occurring because of water erosion, that is our 70% of agricultural land. And that's why we need to monitor our soil resources so that we can manage them effectively for future generation. And for land degradation conservation, Government of India is doing watershed management program. And what is the objective of watershed management? Is preventing soil erosion, which is the major kind of land degradation, and it is doing it to rainwater harvesting also. And then what will be achieved? We will achieve, it will provide a good soil conservation, and we will able to get the sustainable livelihood for the people. So we are doing for remote sensing data for watershed management. You see the watershed, this is the watershed one delineated using remote sensing. What do you mean by watershed? Watershed is an area which accumulates with the water, drains from the area and get accumulated at one outlet. So you see there, this is these are deleted on the highest point. This is the ridge line. From there, water is getting to accumulate here. So land use, we need to study in the water set for planning purpose, what kind of land use is there, what kind of soil, geomorphology, topography, and drainage patterns is there. So what happens when the rains falls on your land, soil, then you know that is the water get saturated, soils get saturated with water, and then you are getting runoff water. And this runoff water erode the soils, do the soil erosion, and it removes the nutrients also from the soil. We need to conserve this, stop this, so that soil should not remove. Otherwise, if every year soil getting washed, then our depth of the soils will be reduced. So you see, the topsoil has been removed at this place and stones are appearing on the surface. We call it a sheet erosion. Here you get, in some of the agriculture fields, the soil get deposited. That is sheet and rill erosion. And here you are getting gullies in the hills. You see the gullies have been formed. So these different kind of erosion take place. And this can be mapped this with remote sensing data? Yes. You see, this is the satellite data shown to you. And here you are seeing a lot of gullies. You can see the irregular streams, and these are nothing we can characterize as a gully. So E4, dense gully erosion. Here you are also seeing the gully, but not so dense. We can say the gully erosion, severe erosion. But here, what you are not seeing the gullies, but you are saying the top layer, it is giving more reflectance. That's why they are appearing you as a whitish. So top soil layer is removed and giving the highest reflectance. Top soil means top soil having high organic matter, clay content, which has been washed out, and sand is left in this area. So sand is giving high reflectance. This is the moderate erosion. And here you see the less, here it is more whitish stone, but here less, it is slight erosion. And you can see here there is no erosion. So no erosion, slight erosion, moderate erosion, severe erosion, very severe erosion. So if we understand the ground realities in association with remote sensing data, we can characterize the various erosion features and we can map the erosion types in the area. We can also use the erosion models to estimate the soil erosion. And one of the erosion model which is most popular is revised universal soil loss equation, Russell model. And this Russell model is the most simplistic model where 5 parameters are taken, and these parameters can be retrieved or that can be derived from the remote sensing data. This is one water set, and in this area you can see this is the water set area, and for that area we can get the digital elevation model. We can generate the terrain factor map, LS factor. We can generate the land use land cover map, and we can generate the soil. Using these equations, we can generate the soil erosion map, soil erosion risk map. And it is, this model provides you estimation of soil erosion rate in tons per hectare per year. And you can calculate what is the erosion rate in forest area, in agriculture area, under different crops. For example, maize crop, paddy crop, like that one. So this is this model is most widely used model in the world and in India as well. Remote sensing data also used to model the surface runoff, where the runoff generation will be highest amount, where the runoff generation will be less. That we can model using SWOT model. SWOT means Soil and Water Assessment Tool. And this model, we can give the input parameter from the remote sensing data, and we can generate the runoff distribution. And where your blue color is showing that the highest amount of runoff is generated. So it means this area needs water conservation, or it needs soil and water conservation measures, because here the highest amount of runoff is generated. Here the runoff amount is not much generated. So conservation measures here will be different, and conservation measures here will be different. So with the models, we can map this distribution. Another chemical degradation I told you, and this chemical degradations we have seen in the irrigated area, where there is a canal irrigation are there, or tubular irrigations, or more irrigated lands are there. If irrigated lands is lying in the arid and semi-arid region, where temperature in the May, June, April, May, June, or summer season, highest temperature are there. So because of evaporation, high evaporation rate, salts from the subsurface soils get accumulated on the surface. You can see this is the salt affected soils. These salts are getting on the surface, and this is the waterlogged. So generally waterlogging and salt affected soils problems remain together. They both are found together. And you can see this is the satellite data of LIS4 satellite data it is taken, and these salt affected soils will appear white stone. You can easily identify where the salt affected soils are there. And this waterlogged area appears a blue stone. So both the area you can map using remote sensing satellite data. So you can find out how much area is under salt affected or under eroded lands. Here we can monitor the salt affected soils also using remote sensing data. In this picture it is shown, we have taken the satellite data of Rohtak district of Haryana in 1990, and here we map the salt affected soils and showing it is a yellow color. You can see the yellow color, salt affected soils. When the data was again taken in 2000, year 2000, we found that the yellow color has, which is exhibiting the salt affected soils, has increased. Here you can see the yellow color area has increased. And in this area where the salt affected soils was not there in 1990, but in 2000, after 10 years, this area also get salt affected soils. So you can see that in 10 years, how much area get increased in salinity. So remote sensing data is very much useful in monitoring of salt affected soils. Another remote sensing satellite data you are getting today is the digital terrain and digital elevation models, DEM. Today, several DM are available, and Indian remote sensing satellite ISRO has generated CartoDem, which is available and you can get for the entire country, and you can study the topography. And this topography analysis can be very useful for the hilly area and mapping of the various type of soil and nutrients. Here you can see this is the topography you can study. You can make a 3D view of the area. This is the DEM, digital elevation model. You can prepare the slope map of the area. Here you can use for digital soil mapping also. Suppose you take the regular interval soil samples and using the digital elevation model, you can map the soil carbon distribution, soil nitrogen, soil phosphorus. This we can map using digital elevation model. We can use the remote sensing data for soil health and soil quality assessment. I can show you. You can map, as I shown you the previous pictures, the Carto dam, and regular sampling. You can prepare the organic carbon map, available phosphorus map, total nitrogen map, and you can integrate all these nutrient map to prepare the soil quality index. So you can assess the soil quality, prepare the soil quality map, and where the soil quality is very good, suppose this red color is showing high soil quality, here we can get a good yield, a crop yield, here management, and here the soil quality is poor, so here you need a better nutrient management. Another, at the end, 1 or 2 slides I will show you also that today everybody is talking about the climate change and what is role of soil in climate change. You should know that is our soils are having organic carbon. You know that is the if soils are having high organic matter, it appears darker in color. If they are having low organic carbon, they will appear like only brownish soils. Our soils are alluvial soils. You see our soils are having 0.3 or 0.4% organic carbon, which is too low. It should be 1.5% or more. But soils are getting, because we are plowing the land, we are doing agriculture operation. So our carbon stored in the surface soils is getting decomposed to the atmosphere, oxidized to the atmosphere. So soils are becoming low in carbon. If you see, this carbon is very important for your, so it is an indicator of soil quality. And we need to know how much carbon is present in our soil. If globally, if you see, in our atmosphere, there are 760 petagram of carbon is there. And in the soil, 2500 petagram of soils present in 1 meter depth of the soil. So you see 3.5 times higher carbon is present in our soil. Our vegetation have only 560 petagram. So you can see our soil is a biggest sink of carbon. And this carbon need to be protected in the soil. Otherwise, if this carbon is released to the atmosphere, then the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere will increase and it will harm more as a climate change increase in temperature. So today, remote sensing data is also being used to study the soil carbon pool assessment or soil carbon stock assessment, because it is not only indicator of soil quality, but it is also important in contributing the climate change impact. And how we can calculate? We can calculate only with the carbon content, bulk density, and depth of the soil. Using this, you can calculate. Another, nowadays, today, we are going towards or talking a lot about precision agriculture. What do you mean by precision agriculture? Means when you do the agriculture with optimal utilization of resources, or you use your resources in a optimal way, or you can say that you add the nutrients as per requirement, you put the insecticide, pesticides, irrigation, fertilization with your what amount the plant is requiring or soil is needing. According to that, if we apply, then we call it is a precision agriculture. So today UAV is being used, or you can say the drone being used for detailed mapping of field crops or soil type or soil nutrients and crop requirement, water requirement. And we are having a various sensors are there where we are getting a very detailed information about your agriculture resources, and these informations are optimally being assessed with the machine learning techniques, applying the artificial intelligence for better management of your crop and soils to increase the yield and increase your profitability from the agriculture that is dealing with the precision agriculture. So high resolution remote sensing data, which is I told you 1 meter resolution data, 25 centimeter resolution data of every week, every 5 days, 10 days intervals are today available, and those data you can utilize for precision agriculture or better management of agriculture for improving agriculture productivity. So that's all, friends. Here I want to say you that you use the remote sensing technology for conserving your soil, improving your agriculture production. If you will not do all these things, then the food security of the country will will depleted in coming years. So remote sensing data are effectively being used for the agriculture resource management. Thank you very much.